Hello everyone, welcome back to another 1v1 battle. I know I did a 1v1 yesterday and also with Bretonia, but in my... let's actually pause this. In my tests, I've been doing tests for well, maybe not many hours, but a long time, specifically to fight against Norska, trying different builds that can counter their mammoths and their vast majority of anti-large creatures in general, because it could be a pain in the ass. And besides like the obvious counters for like the Empire where you can net people down, also you can use Luminarchs, because Luminarchs don't seem bugged anymore. Because in my I've learned a couple things in this patch that I don't think was really covered in the patch notes. One of those things is, hey, the Luminarchs seem to work. Like, I was able to fire on units that were embedded in the middle of my units that were fighting them, like in a front line, and they would still fire no problem. Literally no problem now, which is insane. It took them over a year, but Luminarch's a fix. Try it out in your custom games. They work. I couldn't believe it. So there you go. That's a reliable thing. So you can do the nets on the Luminarchs and, the Light Wizard. But that's like an obvious counter to Norska because you can just net, mammoths in place, shoot them down with rifles, just like you do against any other army. But in my testing, when I was literally using every single spell combination, buffs, debuffs, and any damaging spell, one of my tests showed some interesting results, not necessarily against mammoths, but the dwellers below. I don't know if it was this patch, because I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't used this spell for a long time, or if there was some other update months ago that I missed. This thing is kind of nuts now. Like, this thing, just to let you know, it could destroy a Royal Demigryph Knight unit in one cast, if you can pin them in place. I'm not even kidding you. An entire, from full life to death, it can kill them all and leave them with like 100 hit points maybe. It is insane how much damage this thing can do. So I was like, huh. And so then I was starting to think about builds that can revolve around the Life Wizard, but not necessarily because of their healing, which was nerfed in the last patch to be less healing because it is a lower amount of time for the duration. So in one of my builds, sorry this is a long intro, but I needed you to know why I came up with this build, is to try and lure people with a tasty target, or maybe a very resistant target, like the Green Knight. Maybe just run them into the middle of a Norscan army and have the enemy put a lot of their anti-large or something against them, and then cast the Awakening of the Dweller spell, because it's a very small area. Either that, or you can try and buff your leader or some other important unit with like a Scroll of Shielding and something else to try and put them in there as well. But the focus of this is to try and kill a lot of the units by having them sacrifice themselves on a single target while you kill many with that spell. So that's why I kind of came up with this army. Now, also in my Norska video, I told you that they are susceptible to flying goon squads. So to back up this army, I have flying goon squads. We have the, let's actually start here. We have the Royal Hippogriff Knights. We have Albrecht de Bordelot with his 2 offensive buffs. We also have 2 Royal Pegasus Knights. Have a basic Knights Errant, which is another throwing unit that I could use to try and get the enemy to collapse on them and destroy them. Because the thing is, like, the idea is you can throw these guys right into the middle of the army. The enemy thinks you're an idiot because you're like, well, why are they sacrificing these knights? That's silly. But they're probably going to converge a lot of units on them, and then you're like, haha, surprise, Awakening of the... Or wait, Dwellers Below? Is that what... I never used the spell because it was kind of shit before. Dwellers of the Below? Dwellers Below. And then, you do that. So this is another potential sacrifice that we could throw our way. Then we also am using the Defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis because I had enough money left over to get them. These are the Frenzied Knights Errant, and they all look spiffy in their blue and like silver white armor. And then back here is a token force to give the enemies something to hope for, something that they can actually catch because everything else is so mobile. So we have a Peasant Mob and then 3 Men-at-Arms, just very basic Men-at-Arms. Again, this is supposed to draw the enemy's attention towards this point, because they're like, well, we can actually catch these guys, whereas they can't catch my flying force or my knights because we're faster than what they have. For the enemy, who I'm now plowing my Green Knight into, we have a front line of 2 Marauders, I think? No, 3 Marauders in total, 1 normal, 2 spears, and then we have 3 Berserkers. They also brought the Familiar Warriors with great weapons, the anti-large guys, and then a Marauder Hunter with Javelin, Wolfric the Wanderer on a horse. And then over here is their anti-large crew as well. We have Skin Wolves, 2 of them. 1 of them is armored. Then we have their Skin Wolf leader with a Skin Wolf Werekin, a Shaman, Sorcerer of Death, or Shaman, however you want to pronounce it. And then the Norskin Ice Wolves, which have that Frostbite ability. So I see one of them poking. I don't. It's this one right here. These two units I see. So I'm like, oh, they have something in the forest. So I'm going to be flying my goon squad over there because these units are just as susceptible to the flying goon squads as mammoths are. And let's get on with the battle. I know that was a very long-winded introduction, but I needed you to know how I came to this approach. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm plowing the Green Knight in there. He can take a lot of damage. We have the Famir with great weapons in there. We have Wolfric in there as well. So I'm trying to also get the Javelins in there as well, but Wolfric and the Famir are doing a ton of damage because the Famir are magical damage, and, you know, the Green Knight, he relies on the Ethereal. So I'm like, well, we just have to do it now. So we're going to do the Dwellers from below. Meanwhile, my flying goon squad is going over to this squad, which is obviously retreating from us, and look at this damage. Look at this damage! Even on these Famir, like, it doesn't matter what the unit count is, really, except for, I guess, single target units. But look at these Famir! Look, they went from full to near dead! These Javelins are all dead, and these guys are almost all dead. Yeah, my Green Knight is dead, but they lost a lot of money, too. Also, you could probably use another unit besides the Green Knight. It was very unfortunate that they had the Famir Warriors there, and because they do magic damage. But still, I was like, holy shit! Holy shit! Imagine if they threw, like, 2 werewolves in there. They would all die. Like, that's how powerful this spell is now. Like, what? Right now I'm getting close enough to heal my goon squad, which is already taking care of the skin wolf armored variants. We're working on the unarmed. Oh, actually, I guess they're both armored. My bad. We're working on the second skin wolf as we're being Fate Abunted by. I think we're Fate Abunted. Yeah, the Fate Abunted from the shaman who's now fighting Albric, along with the skin wolf Werekin. Werekin. And then these Norse Nice Wolves going to throw in some reinforcements with the Royal Pegasus Knights. We've now routed both of their armored wolves. They will come back here soon. And then the rest of their force is going to be marching towards my token force, which is exactly what I want them to. Because it's buying time for these guys to kill everything in their backline right now. We are routing off the Shaman, who will come back eventually. And we're now dealing with the Norse Nice Wolves and the Skin Wolf Werekin. I had to temporarily withdraw Albert to Bordello, but we're going to have him charge back in. I'm bringing the Damsel over here along with the Knights over here because their main force right now cannot catch the Knights. So we're just kind of bringing everything over here to make sure that we deal everything in the back. Do know the charge, and this is going to spell the doom for the Skin Wolf Werekin. So now my Damsel is going to come over here. We're going to cast a heal spell on all of our units who have taken damage. It's not as powerful as in the previous patches, but it's still a heal spell, and it still will heal. Meanwhile, I'm going to try and buy us some more time by moving our Men-at-Arms and Peasant over here into this choke point area. This is kind of a dick move, honestly, because you're just delaying the battle. It's kind of a dick move, but whatever. Norska is kind of a dick faction. So yeah, again, I'm trying to buy time for us to heal back here, and then to get these guys to the front line, because even though these are kind of just a token force that I don't really care if they die, I still would like them to be a front line, and our flying force to be the anvil and do a hammer and anvil. So I'm trying to buy time here, since these guys are way over here. We're going to start healing, and then I'm going to have to reroute these skin wolves and this shaman. Is the next goal while just delaying this fight against the front line. They're eventually going to just send Wolfric ahead. I'm going to send in the Peasant Mob to try and just slow this army down as my Men-at-Arms are going to continue moving. Get another Spirit Leech off on Albert to Bordello, and I'm like, well, alright, that sucks. Let's go kill him with our fancy new Knights Errant, the Frenzied Knights. These Armored Skin Wolves are going to try and get into the defenders, but I'm going to catch them from the air, and I'm going to retreat because I don't want any damage taken on them. That's not needed. And there we go. We have shattered these guys. And I think we shattered the other wolves. So there's nothing left in the back line, so now we're going to need to get our 2 Knights over here, all of our flying over here, and we're going to get our Priestess over here as well. My Peasant Mob routes almost instantly because they're a Peasant Mob against all this shit. And Wolfric is now into my Men-at-Arms, trying to slow them down as best as he can. So I'm like, okay, we're probably going to... I think we start fighting right here. And again, I'm trying to delay so we can at least have some kind of front line to hold for a few seconds, a few crucial seconds, so we can get a major backline charge with a flying goon squad. But again, retreating from this force with this type of army is kind of a dick move, friends. It is. I accept that.
It's an honor.
So you can see they have routed off one of our Men-at-Arms just simply by catching them. They've routed off a second one. I'm like, well, alright, here we go. We gotta go. Priest is coming. My flying squad's already here as well. And my 2 Knights Errant are coming as well. They still have a lot of Berserkers. They still have their Marauder Spearmen. They still have Wolfric. I think one of my Men-at-Arms comes back. These guys shattered, but I think this... Wait, who are these? Oh, my Peasant Mob, duh. These guys chase my Men-at-Arms a little too much, so we're going to dive on them and finish off these Famir Warriors with great weapons, which is going to pull in these guys. Wolfric's going to cast his Hunter of Champions, but that's too slow. I'm already in the air. Going to charge in my Men-at-Arms to try and hold these Berserkers in place. We're also going to charge into their backline here. And you can see this giant mob coming over here. Well, guess who has some winds of magic left for potentially another Dweller spell? This guy right here. And I think the enemy knows it too, because then like they stop moving. But still, like, it's going to mess up my men-at-arms, but it's also going to mess up these Marauder Berserkers and normal Marauders. And then we're going to die bomb on Wolfric. Doing rear charges over here with my 2 Knights Errant, and I think the opponent left at this point. Which, I mean, they were going to die at this point, but still. That spell, man. We'll get into a cinematic view, but I want you to see with your own eyes a couple things. But yeah, good game to Shank Hunt. My units did well. It's a flying goon squad. It's hard to deal with as Norska. It's one of their greatest weaknesses. Their units did not get that many kills, unfortunately for them. But yeah, so before we move on, a couple things. In case you don't believe me, I'm just going to show you here a few things. So where's that Jade Wizard? Get over here. We could do the, where's those Demigryph Knights? And like, again, it doesn't matter really the unit count, it seems like. It works on Demigryph Knights, it works on Reiksguard. Doesn't matter how high armor, how low armor. This spell just damages everything. It's not magical damage either, I don't think. Even though it is a spell. What else do we need here? Oh, Luminarchs. Yeah, so you can see that too. It's a glorious thing. It's a glorious thing. I've been, again, testing against Norscan armies with a few mammoths and, you know, other things. Let's just get rid of these. Okay, and then we'll just grab a leader. Also, it seems to work as well. Final Transmutation seems to take off about 2k health on the mammoths and any skin wolf werekin in the area, but this is a very expensive spell. And I think it's about 2k. I'll do more testing with the Final Transmutation. It seems okay, like pretty good, kinda. But I'll do more testing. So let's start with this. So I'm going to do the Dwellers from Below on my Griffites, so you can see, like, it's insane. It's insane. It's insane. Straight up insane. I don't even remember that in the patch notes. Nowhere in the patch notes that they've released have they said, oh yeah, by the way, the Dweller... What is it again? Dwellers Awakening? Dwellers Below has been insanely increased. But again, maybe that was like the last patch months ago. I have no idea. Anyway, we'll have these 2 Luminarchs just start firing at like a mammoth, and you're going to see they're going to have no problems. And we're just going to murder our own units here. So this is the downside. You got to be careful where you cast this, and you got to probably be willing to throw away whatever unit is pinning down whatever else is in here. So there they go. They're firing. Look at that damage. Like, what? What? They left with 200. Luckily, it is a small area. And they're going to fire again, no problem. Even this one, like, it always seemed like the Templar Luminarch had the most issue with firing, even though they're now missing. How are you going to miss? It's right in front of you. Anyway, you get the idea. Like, they will even fire if these mammoths are mixed into your army. They don't seem to have much of an issue, and they don't have much of an issue with shooting your own friends in the back now. Like, they're cool with that, so that's been changed. But yeah, isn't that nuts? Like, what happened? When did the... I am very glad I've spent a few hours testing, man, because 1, I found out Luminarchs are good again, and 2, that Dweller spell, dude. That Dweller spell, which makes the Empire even stronger, has a whole other tool to their disposal. Because most of the time you can ignore this in the previous patches. This thing did okay damage, but really not that much for the cost. But holy shit. It's like a double fate. It's so much stronger than the Fate of Buna in an area of effect. The thing is, you just gotta pin the units there, or hope that the enemy doesn't really notice. So, like, oh my god, like against Vampire Count players, especially like Vlad-led Vampire Count armies who always love to just bubble up and, like, you know, rely on Invocation of the Heck and regenerate. Oh my god, can you imagine? They're gonna just get in a giant healing blob and you're gonna be like, oh, by the way, Dwellers Below. Holy shit. Anyway, I'm pretty excited about that spell, about that find. That's insane. And I needed to let you all know. And I wanted to show off an army that had it too. So let's go back into the replay. And we'll do this is called the Woot. And watch a cinematic view. But god, Dwellers Below, what? 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 It's just insane how the only ones that can kind of seem to ignore it are single target specifically, but even low target units like, you know, Griffites or whatever, they they take so much damage. And again, I don't think it's considered magical. Because if it's magical damage, they usually specify in the spell description. Yeah, these Premier Warriors go to town on my poor Green Knight. I haven't really seen many Norscan players taking these guys. I was not expecting it. They usually just stick with the skin wolves. I'm never going to get their names. Are they skin wolves? I almost don't even want to show this off, because then there's a chance that, you know, you'll tell your friends, and then they'll tell their friends, and then we'll see this more in multiplayer, and that could be very deadly. Like, it totally destroyed this unit! But I did lose the Green Knight to them, but still, like, oh my god. Get him, Albrecht.
Swiftly! Smite them! Did Nazis! Charge! As he say, smite them! You call the lady! Bring the creature down! It sullies the land! Moving at pace! Attack! Lance formation! Now!
But also let you know in my tests, this Goon Squad also kills mammoths relatively quickly.
Use the silver mirror! Reflect the spell! Is that all you got?
Some nice berserkers you got there, friend. It'd be a shame if some giant roots came up and killed them. Also let you know, fireballs don't really work that well against the mammoths, which is to be expected because they have relatively high armor. Does a little bit more damage to the feral mammoths, but not really worth bringing. And Shim's Burning Gaze from the Light Wizard also doesn't really do that much. Doesn't really seem too worth it. Go get it, peasants! Use some shovels! They're just marauders, you got this!
Withdraw! Run, men! Quick!
Jeez!
Shift it! Quick march!
Watch out for the bows! They got a boat!
What? It's the only way! Clear out! Attack! That is true magic! Run!
You forgot to pull off your Famir warriors, my friend. Too late now.
Get those commoners shooting their filthy foes! Good sweets! As you say, take the ground! Moving at pace! Attack!
almost charged them in there, but then I was like, wait a minute, this is a perfect awakening time. Because I saw this entire mob coming over here, so I thought they were really going to clump up, but they ended up not clumping up as much as I wanted. And then poor Wolfric just got gooned. Like, it's not much you can do at that point. Bretonia has a really good flying goon squad, which I think I said in my Norscan overview that Bretonia should be pretty good against them. If I didn't, I probably should have. But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Hope this was informative for you and helps you in your battles against Norsca, because I'm seeing a lot of people say that Norsca's OP. I don't think they're necessarily OP. It's just you may have to adopt different strategies when fighting them, because they have, well, you know, a very strong tool set with those mammoths and their javelin throwers. Their skin wolves are really good. Vermeer warriors are really tankies. But, you know, I think it's just a matter of time before we all figure out how to fight them, I think. But we'll see. Maybe time will prove me wrong and they will actually be, like, better than the Empire. Yeah, right. No one's gonna be better than the Empire. Thanks for watching, though. I'll see you next time.